Hey guys, so this is the first tutorial in my Pandas series. So in this tutorial we are going to set up everything so that we can start working with Pandas. I'm gonna create a virtual environment, and then we are gonna install some of the necessary package and datasets. So let's get started here. So I am in my home directory. So if I do pwd, you could see that I'm in my home directory. So I'm just gonna go to my desktop. So from my desktop, I'm gonna create a directory here. So I'm gonna call it mkdir, and then I'm gonna say pandas crash course, and then I'm gonna get in there. So now I'm within my pandas crash course folder. Here I'm going to create the virtual environment. So I would do pip-env install pandas. So what this is gonna do here is that it's gonna create a virtual environment, and then it's gonna install pandas. So here it says the virtual environment is created successfully, and then it's creating these two files here, piplog not found, so it's creating. And I wouldn't worry about the files. So if I do ls, let's see that these two files are created, pip file and pipfile.log. These two just got created when we try to create virtual environment. So now we are going to activate our virtual environment. So the way to activate it is saying pip-env and then shell. And the way we see our virtual environment activated is by looking at this here. When you see the name of the folder within the parentheses, that tells us that our virtual environment is activated. So I'm just gonna clear here and then zoom in a bit more, clear, ls. So now we are going to install Jupyter Notebook. So I'm gonna say pip install Jupyter Notebook. So this will install Jupyter Notebook within this virtual environment. It's just gonna take a second. Alright, so the Jupyter Notebook is installed now. So now we are going to run Jupyter Notebook. So the way to run Jupyter Notebook is by saying Jupyter Notebook. So this will open up. Actually it did. This opened up this window, and as you can see, we have these two files and nothing else here. So what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna click on new and then click on Python. This opens up a Jupyter Notebook file. So now we are ready to dive in and start working with Jupyter Notebook. Alright, so we have created our virtual environment and then installed Jupyter Notebook in our virtual environment. Now in order to work with dataset, we need to get a dataset, right? So in order to get the dataset, we are gonna go to kaggle.com. So it's this website. If you're not familiar with it, I suggest you get familiar. Okay, so I'm gonna go to competitions here, and then within this getting started part, you are going to see this Titanic machine learning from disaster. So let's click on this here and then go to data, and then we have these three datasets. So we are just gonna download all three of them. You're gonna need to sign into Google in order to get that. So once you're signed in, you go to datasets again and download here. So this is gonna download these three datasets. Actually this is just gonna download this one, but I need to get that. In order to get the test, we click on test and then download. And in order to get the train, we click on train here and then download. Okay, oh, there is also a download all button, so it's probably better to click here. Okay, so now we have all 3 of the data sets. So we are gonna go back to our, we're just gonna go to terminal, and if I do ls, I still have those 2 files and this new file, Jupyter Notebook file we just created. So what I'm gonna do here is that I'm gonna move the files that I downloaded from download to here. So I moved the train. Actually, I'm just gonna move all the files, all the CSV files that I have within download. If I do ls, that provides me with a bunch of more files. Okay, so I don't need this one, I don't need these 3, so I'm just gonna remove full gender status. So if I do ls, so yeah, so I have these 2 files right now. So these are the 2 I am going to work with. Okay, so if I sort of look at it here, if I go to Pandas crash course, and we can see that we have these 2 files here. Okay, so now we are gonna import our package pandas. So in order to import packages, we say import pandas. We use this import keyword before any package we wanna import. Now we can say this as import pandas, or we can also say import pandas as PD, which is the convention in the industry. In order to import a dataset or read a dataset, we are gonna do PD dot, we are gonna use this dot notation, and after that I am going to type read, and then I'm gonna press tab here. Once I press tab, the Jupyter Notebook is going to suggest these available method here. So I'm gonna use this one, read CSV, because my file, the file that I have is a CSV file. Okay, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you can also use bash commands, for example these ls commands, in your Jupyter Notebook. So if I do ls here, I should also be able to see these lists. Actually, let me try something also. So if I do ls and then alt, so I do see I'm also able to use flags here, which is cool. Okay, anyway, so going back to reading the file, right? So I'm gonna do read.csv, and then within a double quotation or a single quotation, I'm gonna write the name of the file. So if I do tray, and then if I press tab here, it automatically fills up the rest of the file name. So once I do that, and then I'm going to want to save this in a variable. So I want to name this variable train_df, and then I'm gonna do shift enter. So this cell ran, and now I have this train_df, which is a pandas data frame, and which stores this CSV file. Okay, so now in order to see a sample of the dataset, I could do train_df.head, which provides with the first 5 lines or first 5 rows of the CSV file here. So that's how we import the data. So if you are not sure whether you're getting the right data, you can also, sort of do head and then train.csv here, and you could see that we have our file here. Okay, so now that we have imported our datasets, I want to show you what are some of the parameters we have here. So once I press comma here, I'm gonna do a shift tab. That will bring this screen, and I'm gonna press tab again to bring out this screen here. So you could see that there are some other parameters, for example delimiter, and then header, and then index column. As you keep learning Pandas, you are going to find out the amazing features and the richness of Pandas package. So I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I want to mention some of them. For example, if I go from the beginning, this delimiter is pretty important. This SCP, which if you use separator, you don't have to use delimiter. So it's basically telling you, or it's basically a way to tell Pandas how the data is separated, whether we are using comma or a pipe character. But if we look here, we see that the data is separated by these commas, right? So here what we can do also is that we could just say separator equals double quotation and then this comma here, and that would provide the same output. And if I do trend head, you would get the same result. We can also say delimiter, and then we could say comma. That would eventually provide the same output. But since we know the data in the CSV file contains comma here, or the data is separated by comma, and if we do like a pipe character instead of comma, that's gonna sort of change, or that's gonna sort of mess up the data frame we have. So as you can see, this is not what we expected. So you always want to sort of get familiar with your data, and then you want to use Pandas. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back and then train df. Now let's say I want to output all the rows consisting of male data. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say train df dot sex equal male, and then train df male df. So I'm basically what I'm doing here is that I'm filtering this data frame, and I'm saying that I want only the rows where sex is equal to male, and then I'm saving that data frame into this male df. Okay, now if I do male df.head, we should see all the rows with containing male. So the reason why I did that is that I wanted to output this file. I wanted to export this file, right? So I'm gonna do male df, and then there are multiple ways to do it. Since we started out with read CSV, I want to output as another CSV file. So as you can see, there are a bunch of different features we have, but I want to use two CSV here, and then let's say I want to name it male data .csv, and I want to say index equals false. So what index does here is that it creates an index like these 0, 4, 5, 6. It puts them into a different column, but we don't want that, right? So I would say index is false, and then I'm just gonna do shift enter, and this does it. Now if I do ls here and then do press shift enter, I should see this file available here, and we can also check that out here, right? So it's showing here. So that's pretty much what I have for this tutorial. In the future, we are gonna dive deep into analyzing data using Pandas. But for this tutorial, I just wanted to show how we can import and export CSV files. Okay, thank you guys. I'll see you guys in a different tutorial. Thanks, bye.